I think you have to promote agriculture. If we don't promote it, who's going to? And that's how we happened to get into the sign project.
And tell us how that kind of came about, because I think anybody who's watching the show this morning who's traveled I-70 or any other major highway in the state will know what we're talking about, the Kansas farmer signs.
Well, it came about because I had gone with Harold down to New Mexico to buy lands. And it's very desolate on those roads, but about the only thing you saw was signs promoting things that were grown in New Mexico or Texas or whatever. And I was bored, you know, riding along with a husband that doesn't talk a lot. And I got to thinking, well, if they could have signs like that promoting things in Texas, why couldn't we have things promoting things in Kansas? So I came back and I asked some of the leading officers in the organization if they would be interested in putting up signs. And to shorten the tale, yes, they were, as long as I would do the work. They helped, but primarily, I said he was the biggest farmer putting up signs in the state of Kansas, and I mean, that really isn't on his resume, building signs. But he went to the sign company that we were going to deal with, that's Thomas Sign out of Manhattan, and they painted these signs for us. And I know we had over 60 at one time, and we were aiming for more. What I really wanted was to have 2 signs in each county on I-70, because I-70 is the most traveled road in the state of Kansas. And we didn't quite make it, but we got quite a few. And people have been real good about calling us and saying, you've got a sign down, you know, at such and such, and I'll say, well, do you know the mile marker? Because if we know the mile marker, we can get right there. But anyway, Harold and I traveled a good bit of Kansas. It was educational. It wasn't a job in the sense that it was hard work. We met so many nice people. And we found out that there were a lot of people that thought, like we did, that you got to promote agriculture. And I recall one young man down at Tonganoxie that said he had hogs. And we came down there with a sign for something else. And he couldn't believe that people that were in one particular avenue in agriculture would promote something for someone else. You know, that's what you've got to do.
Have one common shared voice.
Yes, and the sign that goes the best is the One Farmer Feeds. And we started out in 1978, and it was one farmer fed 55 plus you. And look how it's gone.
I think the last one I saw maybe yesterday when is 128 plus you.
Yeah, and that created a problem, because we'd been able to say 1 plus, and
right.
then I used to call USDA in DC, and they told us that they wanted us to take a figure, and they didn't want to keep. They said it was really too hard to hone in on that particular one, so that's what we did. And I'm not involved anymore. It's American Agri-Women is a coalition of women all over the country, and Kansas has a chapter, which is Kansas Agri-Women, and they have been able to entice some younger women to come in, and that's what you've got to do. You know, I've got to see my sons doing things and their wives doing things, because we can't do them forever. So you have to build for the future.